After this, there'll be homages. Then there'll be a wonderful arti to Srila Prabhupada. The ladies have made about 20 garlands for Prabhupada, so they'll be offered and offered and offered to Prabhupada and then distributed. Then after the Pushpanjali, there'll be a magnificent feast. Maharaj, would you like to stand here?
Hare Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Pradaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurabani Pracharane Nirvisesa Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatarane. Your Prime Minister has been stoned, shouted Bob. Bob Jensen had stormed into your quarters unannounced, and with shoes still on, he threw a newspaper onto your desk. Bob was a sympathizer of the Hare Krishna movement. A 1967 article in the paper was headlined, open quote, Indira Gandhi stoned, end quote. This was in 1966 or 67. You read the article, expressionless, and remained silent for a few moments. After a brief silence, you smiled and told him, the Raja Rishis of yore cared for all the citizens and cared for all their needs. You went on, open quote, the citizens had plenty of food and rainfall. They weren't harassed by rogues. They didn't even suffer from scorching heat or excessive cold, and they were always peaceful. The kings were called Rajas and the citizens Prajas. The Prajas were always protected by the Rajas. The people were free from anxiety, close quote. Hundreds of farmers had driven their tractors from the nearby Bihar province to attend the Prime Minister's public appearance. From 1964 until 1967, there had been an unforgiving drought in their nearby state, and the local cultivators, most probably throwbacks from earlier days, blamed the Prime Minister for their misfortune. You knew about the drought, you meaning Prabhupada, but the newspaper didn't mention it. The farmers cast rocks at her. One stone causing her nose to bleed. Another caused her upper lip to swell. However, she continued to speak and even rebuked the violent hecklers. After a while, both sat down. He had become pacified, understanding the situation behind the headline and the article. As he sat, having calmed down considerably and learned from you the importance of Vedic truth. That's all. Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you so much, Mukunda Maharaj. Hare Krishna. So now we will have Rampashad Prabhu and Vasu Stresta. If Vasu's around, could he please come into the temple room? Anyone who's not in the temple room but is talking quite close to the platform, if they could kindly move a little further away, because we can hear you all chatting. They still can't hear me. Someone out there could ask them to move a little far away. Thank you, Rampashad. No, I've got it.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namani. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Dear Srila Prabhupada, when you came to the West, we've all heard that you brought with you very few possessions. A suitcase, your little brass cooker, a bag of cereal, your white rubber pointy shoes, an umbrella, and 200 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. It doesn't sound like a lot to start a revolution with. But you also carried with you the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Back then in the late 1960s or early 70s, at least for me, maybe
our real shelter. Srila Prabhupada, you found us, and we also found you, thankfully, gratefully. So the temples in the early days were often hotbeds of squabbles with false ego-provoked disagreements, mostly minor youthful clashes, but when Srila Prabhupada visited, we all suddenly became super agreeable and happily all got along. Obviously, due to the divine influence of our saintly, caring, nurturing, hope-giving preceptor. Then again, when Srila Prabhupada departed, the squabbles and mentalling out started up again, like a funny cartoon. In order to navigate Kali Yuga and not be overwhelmed, it's important to keep Srila Prabhupada always in our hearts and minds. He is our guide for the next millenniums, the light and shelter in a very difficult era in time. So because of the very harsh nature of the age, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has opened the storehouse of love of God, Krishna, and is giving away freely his causeless mercy. Srila Prabhupada stands at that door, handing out rescue packages, and we all want rescue packages. So we just have to put our hand out and wholeheartedly accept his miraculous blessings. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to his faithful followers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Srila. It's very kind, wonderful homage. Just while I think of it, a big shout out, big thank you to all the devotees in the kitchen who cooked for so many long hours yesterday, and then for all of the devotees in the kitchen at the moment. Radha Ikrath is cooking and there's a whole team there. So let's say big Haribol! To all of their wonderful endeavours. Thank you very much. So we've got a very, very special situation here. We have one of the very early Australian devotees who lives way up north, and he's come for Janmashtami and Vyasa Puja. So I'd like to invite Jayadharma Prabhu. Many of us oldies know Jayadharma Prabhu very well, and he's kindly agreed to speak. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Jai Prabhupada. In 1970, 5 or 6, we were fortunate enough to go to Perth and spend 10 days with Prabhupada. So every morning Prabhupada would love to walk, of course, and we'd go to the beach, and Prabhupada would glide. You would just turn to us. There was 3 or 4 devotees, and you would say that I'm the acharya for the next 10,000 years. And we all screamed, Jai Prabhupada, 10,000 years. Well, actually, that's just a little blink of time. But it was reassuring that 50 years later, I'm still realizing the ramifications of that statement. And then Prabhupada turned and said, he broke all our hearts, actually. Because he said, my bodily association is not important. But because we all love to be with Prabhupada, because he never forgot Krishna for a moment. And then he said, Vani. Vani is how you associate with me. And Prabhupada also encouraged us to use logic. So, words, Prabhupada lives in his words. He even said, my form is not very important. We were shocked because the person walking with us on the beach was everything to us. We even flew to Perth and we had 3 days. We had to put Prabhupada up somewhere. And we couldn't go to a hotel. We couldn't go to a Kami's house. So we rented a beach house for 6 months. We stayed in for 10 days and then we gave it back to the real estate agent. We'd do anything for Prabhupada. Anyway, Prabhupada went on to say that he lives in his words, and we've all started to process that. So I've just got a little quote I'll read, and it's a very interesting quote. It's from Govardhana, and it just kind of sums it up. An Indian newspaper in 1970 had an article about Srila Prabhupada, written by an astrologer. He said, nobody can read this chart of this person. If they say they can, they're simply lying. This personality comes and goes at his own sweet will. He is not bound by anybody. There is no question of karma. He is working directly under the will of the Lord. And when he writes, his pen, his typewriter, does not have ink in it. His pen has fire. Which will burn the ignorance of the whole world. Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Govardhana. What an inspiring quote. And before I call Vyasa Puja, I just want to mention there's some senior devotees who have declined to speak because they want to make sure some of our younger devotees have an opportunity. So it's not because I've forgotten to ask them, it's just that they've gracefully declined. So Vyasa will be speaking next. And if Prabhudas is here, Prabhudas, if you could make your way inside, so we're ready to start.
Namo Vishnupadaya So today, on this Vyasa Puja day, we're celebrating the glories of Srila Prabhupada, founder of Acharya, the one who made the International Society of Krishna Consciousness come to life and continue to grow, fulfilling the desire of the Acharyas and of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personality of God in himself, who freely gave our bhakti prem, love of God in Kali Yuga to all sundry. I was flipping through Vyasa Puja book. I've got some old ones there in the 80s, so I was looking through the 1986 book. And one of the Goswamis was very concerned. He was writing in his Vyasa Puja how ISKCON is under attack from all sides and also from within. Turbulent times, you might say. But if he and they could see into the future and they would perceive our movement across the globe right now, it is stronger than they could have ever imagined. Not that we can pat ourselves on the back. Srila Prabhupada once said that we could take the world over in 17 days if we were to do it. So we've still got a ways to go. But behind all this, Srila Prabhupada is the foundation, and by his mercy we have achieved some success in our mission. So one way to realise the mercy of Srila Prabhupada is to study the life of Srila Prabhupada, and we can take so many things from it. One of my most recent realizations was the strength of his determination. To reinforce that, of course we all know that, but when you actually read it and you get into the Leela, you see that he was so determined to get what he needed to spread Krishna consciousness. It's easy to give up, but then when we meditate on Srila Prabhupada, then somehow or other, by Krishna's grace, problems are magically solved. Key point is don't panic. I do get that advice from other sources as well. It's probably a question of saying, do as I say, don't do as I do. But there it is. Krishna Das Kaviraj, when he wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita, expressed confidence that the readers will be amazed by studying the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are confident also that anyone coming into contact with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada will find that mercy similarly, strikingly wonderful. And they will have a profound, heartfelt experience leading them to a deep, intimate connection with Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Auspicious Prabhu. It's wonderful. Prabhu, I was going to say Prabhu Das, please come to the microphone, thank you. And then we will be followed by, I will then read an offering for Mandalpa and Jagat Priya Prabhu.
Krishna. Thank you, Jai Dharma, for your offering and also for the Rasa movement. Really nice to hear that. It's always pleasing to hear from my brothers and sisters. Just lately I've been thinking about Srila Prabhupada and how heroic his activities were at his advanced age, as we're approaching the age when Srila Prabhupada began his mission. And we are experiencing the infirmities and challenges of advancing age. And we're appreciating how heroic Srila Prabhupada's activities were and how much he squeezed into his life. He was never well from the time he started. He was always ill. And he was managing a worldwide society and also communicating and corresponding with thousands of disciples. So it was quite an extraordinary achievement that Srila Prabhupada achieved. So we can always look to him for inspiration in everything we do and try to imbibe some of that tenacity and enthusiasm for serving Krishna that Srila Prabhupada always displayed. I took the time to write a little offering. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur laments in his song Simply Surrender, quote, "With age I am humbled, deprived of success. I weep as my hollow life leads me to death. Lamenting the decades of unpardoned strife, I hereby submit the sad tale of my life. Bewildered and angered by worldly desire, my selfishness grew and consumed me like fire. With the greatest of pleasure I put into pain those others who... Those others whose flourishing threatened my gain. And now I am humbled, diseased and downcast. My senses enfeebled, enjoyment is past. An old man with fever in constant distress, alone and afraid, so afraid of my death. I simply surrender, no more will I know. My Lord, I am fallen, oh please take me home painfully. A life of material intent is a situation of ultimate hopelessness, but a life connected to Krishna provides great hope. There is an old saying, where there is life, there is hope. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta has stated, preaching is life. If we can somehow or other maintain a connection to your preaching mission, Srila Prabhupada, then our life remains hopeful. Your program is simple, but it becomes complicated by our material desires. You desire our ultimate surrender, and Lord Krishna also demands it. True surrender will lead to our ultimate happiness when we are firmly situated in our eternal and natural position. The society you have created and the programs you have formulated enable us to come to that point of surrender in an easy fashion if we stick to the process. The process entails, as stated by Lord Chaitanya, Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mapuravas, Srimurti, Shradaya, Sivan. One should associate with devotees, chant the holy name of the Lord, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, reside at Mathura and worship the deity with faith and veneration. Sakala Sadhana Shrestha E Panchahana, Krishna Prema Janmaya E Panchahana. These 5 limbs are the best of all. Even the slight performance of these 5 awakens our love for Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, thank you for opening the door and providing the pathway to real freedom. We remain your aspiring servant, Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Prabhupada. I can't resist this pun because Prabhupada does an amazing service with all the roses. So I'd just like to say a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Thank you, Prabhu. Now we have Amoga Das, who's coming in to, Amoga lives on the Sunshine Coast. No, not Sunshine, Gold Coast. And Amoga is one of our very early devotees as well. Did a lot of preaching in Indonesia, along with Masarani. So Hare Krishna, Amoga Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most respectful obeisances at your divine lotus feet. Due to your pure love for Krishna, he has appeared all over the planet in gem-like forms of rare, unrivaled beauty. The deities of Radha and Krishna with Nitai Gauranga, Lord Jagannath, Subhadra Balaram, bless our hearts. My hands are wheeling.
Would you like me to hold it for you?
No, I'd like to tell a couple of stories that are just next, and I hope you like them. Some of you have heard some before. But I was always a puffed up person, and I thought I was smart, so Prabhupada sometimes pulled circumstances in such a way that I would realize I'm a dodo. I got no intelligence and don't do anything right, which is more or less my banner. One time he just mentioned Indonesia and Malaysia. There was a crowd of something like 50 people, Indian people, listening to Prabhupada speak. And he was talking about how in modern civilization people have misused their intelligence. They have so much ability, but they're wasting their life, misusing their intelligence. And the people that lived there were wealthy Indian people that lived in Malaysia. And Mataji of the house brought a silver tray with water, goblets to drink water, and a pitcher of water. And they passed it to me, and I was obviously supposed to pass it to Prabhupada. And I've always taken things first on what they look like, and secondly, figure out with intelligence what it's supposed to be. They handed me the tray, and Prabhupada was talking, and they had the silver goblets on the tray, upside down. So the idea is to turn it over and put the water in. But I looked at them, and they look like funnels. They're silver, and they have a base that flares out. So if you look at it upside down, it looks like a funnel. So being sometimes often in culturally different places, I thought it was a funnel. So you're supposed to pour the water in, and the water will get into the cup, and then pick up the cup, and I started pouring the water into the base. I started getting a cup. And everybody was getting uncomfortable. Oh my God, what's going to happen? What's he doing? And I'm like, what am I doing? And everybody's in total anxiety for a few seconds. And water was spilling, and the lady came and took the tray from me, and I didn't know what to do. I'm like bewildered. What's going on? And Prabhupada said, just see, misused intelligence. So this is one kind of aspect of Prabhupada, is say something so perfect in some situation and so humorous. And another one was, there was a sequence of events when we were with Prabhupada in Perth. Popping the microphone. Perth. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So exploding. Somebody sent some shoes, Pansaduda, who sent some shoes by air freight to Prabhupada, new shoes. They knew what kind of shoes Prabhupada liked. So Prabhupada liked the shoes, and he sent his old shoes back. It was a reciprocation. They sent Prabhupada's shoes to the Pansaduda Prabhu after Prabhupada was worn them, so they're very spiritual memento. So I kind of like that idea. So then we went from there to Melbourne. This is 1975, and I went looking for shoes. So I found some slippers. They were very soft, velvety, comfy slippers, and I bought them. And I also bought some mangoes in the downtown fruit shop, downtown Melbourne, where it was out of season. They were really nice peachy mangoes, and one devotee lady had stitched cloth. The story gets longer. I think this was 1974. In the morning, devotees all crowded into the temple for class, and this was the St. Gilda Temple, so quite a small temple room. I don't know if you ever saw that place, but it was really small. But all the devotees in Australia had come there, so it was really crowded, and Prabhupada came into the room, and then he went and sat on his Vyasa at the end in the back. And everybody offered obeisances all over each other, just elbows and shoulders and hips and obeisances to the floor. So then I heard Prabhupada say, don't touch the Bhagavatam to the floor. So I just kind of made up an image of what was going on, because I couldn't see. Prabhupada was down the back of the temple, I was up towards the front. So I thought, well, it must be his servant that brought the Bhagavatam and offered obeisances, and when he offered obeisances, he must have put the Bhagavatam on the floor. So I thought, well, there's no idea. So I went to the Pujari department and I asked them to make a cloth for Prabhupada's Bhagavatam. Cover. So she made it really nice, like gold tassels and pink silk, and it was nice looking. So one night when I had these things assembled, we used to go around with back to Godhead boxes. They're kind of like the devotee briefcase. They're about so big, and they carry a certain number of back to Godheads, and we distribute them. And then we have all these boxes. Sometimes we go out with a box, or the band would drop us off with our box of magazines. So they got used for lots of things. So I came in with my back to Godhead box, and so I was sitting there, and he was talking about. Well, he's told a long story, and I'm going to run over 4 minutes here. I might get the bell. But he's telling a story about a rich man who had gone to the river with his servant, and the servant, and he had spied a yogi. The yogi by the river said that he could stay in that water overnight. It was freezing cold winter. He could stay in there all night without taking the help of any flame or heat. And so the rich man made a wager that he would give him so much gold coins or whatever, if he could do that. So they all went away, and they came back the next day. And so he was still in the water. The rich man was about to pay his wager, and somebody piped up, "No, he's cheating you! Don't listen to him!" Everybody turned their head, crowd of people, and you see that temple, and there's a temple about 200 meters away, and there was a lamp on it, like an oil lamp. And he said, he's taking heat from that lamp. He's taking heat from that lamp, he's cheating it. So the rich man was like, oh, I'm not going to pay, he's cheating. So he went back, and then he, in the morning later, he was waiting for his breakfast. So he called to his servant, where's breakfast? It's late, I got an appointment. And he said, oh, I'm just cooking in the kitchen. So then he said, where's the breakfast? I'm waiting, it's late. So this built up, and finally the rich man went over to the kitchen door, and he looked, and there was a little fire, and there was some smoke coming up. Yeah, I was wondering how strict that is. I didn't time the stories, but I'll finish with the story someday. And not quickly. So the rich man said, "Where's this breakfast?" And he said, "Here." And there was sitting there just some smoke, and it wasn't cooking. And there was bamboo sticks sticking up in the air, and the pot of uncooked food was up high. So he said, "What do you mean? Why are you going to cook like that?" So then he said, "Yes, if that man is getting heat from that flame and staying in the river all night, I'm cooking breakfast." And so he realized he'd done the wrong thing, and the guy probably should be paid. So yeah, shall I break off the stairs? I'll quickly tell you. I'll just borrow a little time from the future. So I pulled out my back to Godhead box, And Prabhupada said, what is that? And he interrupted his pause in his talking. So, what is that? And he looked at the box. And I said, well, this morning I heard you tell the devotee not to touch your Bhagavatam to the floor. So I got this nice cloth made for your Bhagavatam. He said, I don't touch the Bhagavatam to my floor. And then he got this really serious look on his face, like you see some pictures, very stern. I don't touch the Bhagavatam to the floor. And then I wanted to explain what happened. He said, but I mean, as soon as I say something, he said, I am keeping the Bhagavatam on the bookshelf. I don't touch it to the floor. And then I tried to say something, and he interrupted me every time. He like, cut me like that. As soon as I started to speak, it cut me off. So then everybody was laughing, like if you were all there. They were laughing and falling over on their side and just cracking up and laughing, and it was really hilarious. And I felt like, wow, I should become a cockroach and crawl away in this hole or something. And it was very funny. So that's what I was going to say. Thank you very much. Sorry,
Thank you very much, Amoga. It's a wonderful story. And Amoga Prabhu is a very expert photographer. He's taken some wonderful, wonderful photos of the early days in Australia. And when we put together Radha Gopinath's 40th anniversary magazine, we could only do it if we could get Amoga Prabhu's photographs, because he has an amazing collection. And unfortunately, there was a huge flood in Brisbane, and his storage facility got flooded to the knee in toxic water, and he and his wife braved the toxicity and saved a lot of the photos which were used in the Radha Gopinath's 40th anniversary magazine. So thank you, Amoga Prabhu. So I'm just going to quickly read this offering. I'm reading it on behalf of Mandapa Prabhu and his good wife Jagapriya. Dear Srila Prabhupada, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nivasesa Sunyavadi Paskachardi Satarane. Mandapa writes, how fortunate to once again have the opportunity to glorify you, Srila Prabhupada. Actually, it is beyond our ability to list even a fraction of your sublime qualities and activities. Who can imagine leaving Sri Vrindavan Dham for the hell-bent Western civilization? Who can imagine sailing the Atlantic in a small ship at age 69? Who can imagine having 2 heart attacks on the way, but Krishna helped? Who can imagine climbing the stairs to a 5th floor loft on the Bowery, of all places, in wintertime? Who can imagine you finding out some warm bedding and some burger with little or no money in New York City? Who can imagine your happiness upon acquiring 26th Avenue, the first temple of your mission? Srila Prabhupada, you performed harsh austerities, even more than Himalayan yogis of past ages, as you had to live with Skid Row inmates, drugs and alcohol. And this was just the beginning of your plan to spread Krishna consciousness worldwide. Thank you for your determination to fulfill Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur's desire. Your aspiring servant, Mandapa Das. Thank you so much, Mandapa Prabhu. That's wonderful. If Nishina Kavacha could kindly come to the, it's not ready yet? Okay. Well, how about I read out my offering? It is a short one. To my eternal beloved Master and true Father, please accept my humble obeisances again and again. I've been doing this for 50 years, yet I can never summon up enough sincerity to deserve your loving glance. I owe everything to you, Srila Prabhupada. We as a society owe everything to you, and it is a debt that we can never actually repay, because it is a debt of such significance, such intensity, that it is beyond calculation. You single-handedly gave us Radha and Krishna. You taught us to lead our lost and speculative lives and make our first tentative steps on the often difficult path back home, back to Godhead. Although so many decades have passed since I first saw you, Srila Prabhupada, time has not diminished your presence in my life. Sometimes during Srimad Bhagavatam class, when devotees are chanting Jai Radha Madhava, I think if you're sitting on your Vyasa in Mayapur, your eyes are closed in deep meditation, as they always were when you sung Jai Radha Madhava, your thumbs lifting off the cartels at the third beat, as they always did. Your head moving in time, totally absorbed as you glorified Radha Madhava. I think of that a lot. When you visited your temples, it was to us as if Krishna himself was visiting. And as his personal emissary, you were representative of Krishna, and in that way, as good as Krishna himself, just as the ambassador represents his head of state. I'm not a particularly qualified devotee. In my heart, I'm pretty sure that I'm a disappointment to you overall, but I'm confident of one thing, that taking shelter of you is the most momentous thing I've ever done. You transport us into another... Excuse me. Thank you. You transport us into another realm, where we awaken our eternal constitutional position as loving servants of Radha Krishna, where every moment was absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, and your actions reflected that absorption at all times. And as you said once, when asked, you never forgot Krishna. I'm so forgetful of Krishna that I may go for hours not even thinking of him, but I think I am more conscious of you. So much around me reminds me of your devotion, your unique position, your supremely inspiring enthusiasm, and your dedication to spreading your Guru Maharaj's mission. Just looking at the strong determination of your grand disciples and great-grand disciples inspires me to continue to try and serve you and them in my limited capacity. They are carrying on your mission with such devotion. It is clearly apparent that future generations are as connected to you as your direct disciples. We are going through troubled times as a society, but if we maintain our integrity and justice to others, following procedural fairness where I sometimes see that is lacking, then we can be confident that we're pleasing you. As individuals, we must ensure that we are acting properly, and as members of your ISKCON, we must also ensure that our managerial bodies are acting justly. You are no ordinary spiritual master, a phrase you used to describe your Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. You transcend boundaries of time and space, living for generations to come in your books and teachings. I beg you to one day allow me to see you again, Srila Prabhupada. I pray fervently that I can stand under your ISKCON banner in the spiritual world and once again bask in the purifying rays of your divine effulgence. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Missionary Kavach, please stand to come now.
Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to your divine grace. Srila Prabhupada, composing a homage for you is always such a difficult task. How is it possible to glorify your vast and unfathomable qualities and achievements in a few short minutes, or even in a lifetime? I could not begin to fully glorify you and your achievements. Srila Prabhupada, your whole life was such a perfect example of service to your spiritual master, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. Even though we are celebrating your life and achievements and remember your departure, still you are present, still you are spreading Krishna consciousness around the world. Recently, Bhaktivedanta Manor, during the 50th anniversary celebration and installation of Radha Govardhana, Shiva Ram Maharaj gave two wonderful examples of how he was still preaching. One example he gave was that this person they had a dream, and in the dream this old gentleman appeared to them, saffron rose, Indian body. And this older gentleman said to them, you're going to meet some very spiritual people, you should follow what they say. And so it happened that he met these spiritual people and they were devotees. And he followed what they said and became a devotee. But what happened was when he first started to associate with the devotees, they went to the temple, and the devotees were introducing him to the temple there, and they saw Prabhupada on the Vyasa side. And they said, "Who's this man? Who is this?" And they explained to Prabhupada. He said, "I had a dream, and he came to me in a dream." And this was only a few years ago, very recently. He came to me in a dream and told me I was going to meet some spiritual people, and I should go with them. So you can see that Prabhupada is still very, very actively preaching. He gave another story about an example, but I can't remember that one. As a young man, I heard chant Hare Krishna and be happy, so I did. And what seemed like a simple thing at the time blossomed into an amazing realm of such vast depth, beauty, and understanding of the culture of Krishna consciousness. You have given us the holy name of Krishna, which chanted purely will put us in direct contact with the Supreme Lord. You have given us access to the extraordinary devotional texts and the writings of the 6 ISKCONs. You have given us the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to spread Krishna consciousness in every town and village in the world. You explained that this hidden treasure is not just for humanity, but for the whole universe. You blessed us with the worship of Radha Krishna. This is so extraordinary. Here we are in Malayadesh, and by your compassion and mercy, we have the opportunity to directly serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and participate in his pastimes every day. There is nothing better than the chanting of Hare Krishna. There is nothing better than the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there is nothing better than the worship of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. In the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma praised the Lord for several benedictions. Borrowing inspiration from Lord Brahma, I also request your blessings. Srila Prabhupada, on this occasion of your Vyasa Puja, may I pray for the following blessings. Please empower me that I develop the introspection to understand how to inspire others so they may give their lives to Krishna. May I also become a surrendered soul who is dear to you and the Lord. I pray only to serve you and the Lord, and I pray that I not be materially affected by my activities, for thus I may be able to give up the false prestige in the Buddha. I therefore pray that in the course of my activities I may not be deviated from serving you and the Lord. Please uplift the entire cosmic creation and remove my dejection by kindly speaking your directions. Begging always to be situated at your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is our international deity worship minister, and he is responsible for making sure that the deity worship in all of our temples in ISKCON is followed correctly, and he's very dedicated and tireless in his service. So I'm calling on Sri Hari Bhakti next, and then Kishori. So if you could make your way to the front, and then Danda Karanya. If Danda Karanya is here, could he please come to the temple room? If he's not here, could someone signal to me that he's not here? Thank you, Sri Hari Bhakti.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. I didn't prepare anything today. I tried writing, but I'm going back to my beginning. Started my life in Melbourne. Very wonderful temple. We got trained up very well. And as the years went on, I learned a little bit. And knowing that you, Srila Prabhupada, came to Melbourne and you have your rooms there is very, very special for me. And I understood you were very present in your murti as you are here today in Melbourne. And us ladies, we were the lucky ones to go up to your rooms and chant our rounds. And at the beginning, there was only a picture of you And it was my husband actually that asked if it would be a good idea to get a murti. And so I took advantage of that. I used to read to you from the books that were on your book stand, and it was very sweet. But before we went to Mayapur, we got to live in St Kilda, in Jackson Street off Grey Street. And Burnett Street is off Grey Street. And I would go for my walks, and I always felt your presence. Always, always. It was different. You know, knowing that you're the pure devotee and your actions do not wane at all. And even the locals, you know, sometimes I'm a bit sorry. Hare Krishna. But one thing happened. There was a gentleman had a business in Grey Street, a milk bar. And I used to go in, generally in my sari, and he goes, oh, I used to buy pure milk for you guys down the road. I went, oh, okay. And sometime later, my car stopped, and right in front of his shop, and he came and helped me and fix my car. I was going to the temple and fix my car. And I knew then that this was you, Srila Prabhupada, your extended preaching going on doesn't stop. And so I thank you for that, and I'm glad that I know that, that you're here right with us today. So thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much for Hari Bhakti. It's wonderful. Thank you, Kishori. And then Vandakrani, unfortunately, is not well, but Devagura Hari is next. If Devagura Hari is around, can someone please have a look for him and ask him to come to the temple? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, all glories to your wonderful services. I'm very grateful to be part of your movement, which is simply wonderful. You have given us all very potent methods to make our lives successful. It is up to us to implement your teachings in our lives and practice the path you have taken great pains to light up for us. Wherever there is a mass of people, there must be a guideline, a protocol, a procedure, and ramifications if these aren't followed. This is for the order of the society, for it to function smoothly as it should. You have already given us everything, including this structure. I pray that your society traverse the test of time with your instructions and your mood at the forefront, without being twisted or watered down in any way. This is, then, the waterproof ship that will take many souls now and in the future back to Godhead, which you have told us is the success of this human form of life. Everything else, namely profit, adoration, and distinction, are mere mortal traps on this journey. I pray that newcomers and the future generations are clearly able to see your purity and your vision and give you due prominence. I pray that I may be able to serve and please you always. You are the representative of Adi Guru, Lord Balram, and I am very grateful to have tangible things such as your japa, your classes, your words, and your visual images to keep us immersed, as well as your disciples. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So, one more thing, a couple more things to quickly say, which I haven't actually written down, but I just wanted to say that I've realized that Srila Prabhupada is a common platform, just like Kirtan is, just like the Holy Scriptures are, and that when we meet to talk about Prabhupada, then we don't fight. Also, I wanted to say two very two occasions that I had personal realizations. One was 4 years ago when my father was passing away, and we had Prabhupada's japa on the whole time. Like it was one little box and we had it on the whole time, and somebody criticized and said, oh, it's just one mantra. Prabhupada isn't chanting fluidly. It's like he's not going from A to Z. He's just like doing one mantra. But then in that one mantra, in the 6 weeks that I spent next to my father's bedside, I know that so many inauspicious things were completely gone. It was just wonderful. And I realized that the potency is there and that Prabhupada is always there for us, even in the one mantra. The other thing happened maybe 2 months ago. So I'd just given a class, and then Prabhupada had said something and I had to look up the quote after the class. So as I was looking up the quote on my phone, it was actually in the aquatic center, and my daughter was having a swimming lesson. I was looking up the quote. All of a sudden I hear Prabhupada's japa happening. And I look around and it's actually coming from my phone because I have an app, and accidentally that app must have turned on. And it was at the same time that I was reading the quote that I was looking up. And I just started crying because I really felt that Prabhupada is here in his words, as people have mentioned. And finally, I just wanted to say that thank you very much for the devotees who are here today, who have had Vapu Association of Prabhupada and who are choosing not to speak today, to give the second generations a chance to speak. Thank you very much. It speaks a lot on the culture of succession and the thoughtfulness and love. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I really like that. I liked everything that you said, but I particularly like that understanding that Prabhupada is the thread that's woven throughout the tapestry of ISKCON, and he keeps us together. And of course, Prabhupada said that the only way ISKCON can be destroyed if it's through lack of cooperation within. So is Devagora Hari Prabhu, would you like to please come and present your offering? Thank you, Hare Krishna. And then Rupa Raghunath, is Rupa Raghunath close by? If someone could maybe search out Rupa Raghunath.
He just got in his bag, he went. Maybe he's coming back, but we saw him drive off 2 minutes ago.
Okay, so then after that will be Srimati. If someone could please go and search out where Srimati is.
Yeah.
Ah, great, okay.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Srila Prabhupada, the one and only. Appearing in a great Vaishnava family, you were trained by your father from birth to worship and love Krishna, the Supreme Personality, the Lord of all heaven and earth. When you were but a child, the neighborhood witnessed your festival of Jagannath Dev, and to travel and see the Lord of the universe, you studied the timings of the Puri train. From birth you were blessing the lost and the lonely. Srila Prabhupada, the one and only. In youth you did your studies and duties, but as later your disciples you'd tell, never was there a time when I forgot my Lord Krishna. Never was there a time when I fell. On the bidding of a friend, you came to see a sadhu, and on that very first meeting, he gave the instructions that would shape and inspire your whole life. Go west and take this message of Chaitanya Dev. Oh Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, this world was so dark and lonely. Sorry. Oh, come on. Thank you for sending Srila Prabhupada, the one and only. Sorry. Stop. And when the time came to perform your miracle of spreading the divine savor and the holy name to all lands, You fearlessly set out on a perilous journey with nothing but your Guru's mercy and Srimad Bhagavatam in hand. In 12 short years you circled the globe 14 times, though you were more than 70 years old. By your supreme dedication, devotion and tireless efforts, you manifested hundreds of holy places, more valuable than mere gold. O Sri Chaitanya, we were lost and lonely. You sent us your general, Srila Prabhupada, the one and only. So with sincere gratitude overflowing at your lotus feet of all solace we pray to always remain connected to your community of service and celebrate your divine presence in our lives on this and every other day. We're eternally grateful you came to this world to save the lost and lonely with overflowing divine love, both transcendent and homely. Srila Prabhupada, the one and only.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's very, very inspiring for Prabhupada disciples. Well, it's inspiring for all of us, but it's particularly inspiring for Prabhupada disciples when we can see how much love and devotion for Prabhupada exists and will continue when the elderly are going to hopefully see Prabhupada soon. So, Rupa Raghunath, I believe, is suddenly driven away, but with Srimati, I'd like to invite Srimati Devi Dasi, and then there will be Ishvaku, if someone could try and find Ishvaku, and Shanti Parayana, if someone could try and find Shanti Parayana. I know he went out just then. If someone could kindly search for them. Thank you. Someone's searching for Ishvaku and Shanti Parayana, and then there will be Sita McRae, Sita Devi Dasi.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances in the dust of your lotus feet. All glories to this most auspicious occasion of your Vyasa Puja celebration. In the Chaitanya Mangala Sutra Kanda, Lord Chaitanya says, taking the sharp sword of the congregational chanting of the holy name, I will root out and destroy the demoniac mentality in the heart of the conditioned souls. If some sinful people escape and give up religious principles, go far off countries, then my commander-in-chief, Senapati Bhakta, will appear to chase them and distribute Krishna consciousness. Oh, how wonderful that Lord Chaitanya's commander-in-chief is none other than your divine grace. How fortunate are we in your ISKCON society to be always under the protection of your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada, you emanate so much kindness and compassion that through your books you are able to give shelter to the whole world. You describe your books as time bombs. When the time is right, these books will blow away people's misconceptions in this misdirected civilization, and they will be awakened to who they really are and what the purpose of life is about. Srila Prabhupada, you said your purpose are your ecstasies. By being absorbed in your ecstasies, we can learn to love Lord Krishna and take massive leaps in our convictions and experiences and accelerate our return home back to the spiritual world. You are our guardian in Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada. The stronger our faith in you, the more secure we are in spiritual life. You are always here for us, Srila Prabhupada. By listening to your lectures, reading your books, and following your instructions, we are safe from Maya's domain, and all problems become insignificant as water in the hoofprint of a calf. Srila Prabhupada, there is no doubt that our debt to you can never be repaid. As you said, I walk through fire to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. As we read about your life and hear from your disciples of how you face so many obstacles, from being, in your own words, thrashed by a bull, while you were in Delhi printing your Back to Godhead literatures, and you were severely injured and alone, to coming to the US with 40 rupees, having hardly anything to eat, to having your typewriter and tape recorder stolen when that was pretty much all you had and needed. Yet your unbreakable faith in Lord Krishna and your Guru Maharaj kept you going. O most venerable Vaishnav Thakur Srila Prabhupada, today and every day I offer my obeisances and immense gratitude to you. Please bless me not to offer empty words to you, but to offer my mind, body, and sincere words in your service. All glories to your divine grace, your eternal servants.
Thank you so much, Kishori. So, do we have Ishvaku in the house? Okay, Lakshmanavan Prabhu, would you like to do your offering, please? And then next will be Sita.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Dear Srila Prabhupada, there have been many spiritual teachers who have come and shone some light. Who can deny it? But like so many candles shining in the dark, once the sun comes up, what is the use of these candles? Srila Prabhupada, you are like the sun that has arisen to dissipate the darkness of ignorance. And unlike others, you came on a mission solely to give, to spread knowledge, to spread happiness and joy, to spread love, not caring for your own discomfort or sustenance. There was nothing here of interest that you wanted to take, not wealth, not the pleasures that it can offer, nor name or fame. You simply came to serve the order of your divine master and help us all. Srila Prabhupada, you so lovingly exemplified everything that you taught and showed us how to live in this world, but not be of this world. The vastness of your legacy is a force in and of itself. Firstly, of course, there are your books. Knowing that your time was limited, you would sleep only very little so that you could rise early and translate and write your commentaries, your personal ecstasies, a total labour of love. There are also hundreds and hundreds of recorded conversations with all sorts of people, and then there are also thousands of recorded discourses. Not only all this, but you also live in the hearts and minds of your followers, as well as in the pages of the ever-increasing accounts of your pastimes and teachings that have been written and are still being written. Thanks to the insight and the diligence of your followers, you are perhaps the most well-documented spiritual authority in the history of humanity. I wish to thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for saving me from a life of utter misery. Thank you for inspiring and empowering your followers and the followers of your followers to spread your teachings, the pure teachings of Lord Chaitanya and the entire Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, to pull me and countless others out of a bleak future and show me a real life, a life of peace and knowing, a life of certainty, and a life of deep happiness, steady happiness, happiness that goes beyond the superficial fleeting pleasures of this world. On this day I pray at your lotus feet that I also may be of some use in your mission. Please transform me into an agent of your kindness and compassion. Please transform me into an agent of your kindness and compassion so that others can also be benefited, just as I have been benefited, so that I too can pass on the gift of your love. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Lakshmanavan. I'm just wondering if I could get a volunteer who knows their way around the deity kitchen. Rasarani Prabhu is going to do the offering to Prabhupada, but we need someone to set up the Prabhupada's plates and bring it out at the time. Kishori will do it. Thank you so much, Kishori. Okay, so, any Rupa Raghunath, has he come back? Ishvaku. No Shanti Parayana. There's Shanti. Please come, Shanti. Sorry, Sita, after Shanti is here. And then there will be Savana Rupa. If Saratanath, you can find where Savana is. She's here. Okay, thank you.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for making our good fortune. Thank you for being here and allowing us to all be here with you. I heard from Jai Dharma, you said that your Vani is more important. So apart from your disciples and your Vani, that's my lifeline. So I'd just like to express a little bit of remembrance, a little bit of understanding of some of the mercy that I've received. Srila Prabhupada, once in a class in Melbourne, two of your senior devotees, the leaders there, they discussed about the holy name. One devotee said, after chanting your 16 rounds, you should be very peaceful. And another devotee said, after you've chanted your 16 rounds, you should be exhausted. So I had to try and work out the contradictions in my mind, and over time I understood that one expression was the stage before achieving the peace. You have to work hard to control your mind, and then eventually the end result is that life will be smooth. You made a couple of statements, Srila Prabhupada, on your japa tapes. Sit properly. So had to understand what that meant. I heard from my spiritual master there are 3 principles in chanting Hare Krishna, 3 P's that we need to follow. Posture means being attentive. Pronunciation, you should recite the mantra, not snicka snicka ram ram. And prayer. One should be in a prayerful mood. So no contradiction, and actually being faced with contradictions, you've written it, Prabhupada, in your Chaitanya Charitamrita, it strengthens the mind. Some difference of opinion, we need to use our mind to see how there's no contradiction. But there was one statement that you made, Srila Prabhupada, if you get time, chant Hare Krishna. A lot of us are time poor, trying to juggle so many important, essential priorities in our life. So again, I was fortunate, I received some insight by witnessing the behaviour of devotees who are very dear to you, that if they get time, they'll sit and they'll chant Hare Krishna. The rest of the time they're launching into all of their vast activities for your pleasure. And again, trying to understand how that works. Chanting Hare Krishna, it's a privilege. It's our satisfaction. From the beginning, it will help to remove us from the Namaparad stage, where we're against the holy name, against devotees. Then we'll get to the clearing stage, and eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to relish the holy name. In Sudanam. I was reading Prabhupada in your Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text number 5. You described, I was looking while I was chanting, where will I find the mantra printed? And I remembered that you had repeated the whole Hare Krishna mantra twice in that purport. So just before the second Hare Krishna mantra, you wrote, in order to achieve full Krishna consciousness, one should incessantly, constantly chant the holy name. Not just when you have to insist. So everything that we're doing is an expansion of the holy name. Everything we're doing is to serve the holy name, to prepare us to be able to chant purely. And eventually, the beginning, the middle and the end, the holy name will be everything for us. because we'll actually see Krishna present in the holy name. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for making it simple but sublime. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Nandipurana Prabhu. Also, if someone could please search out Srikanta Singh. I saw him here early this morning, but I don't know where he is now. There he is. Thank you so much. Sorry. Sita Prabhu, would you like to come? And then after Sita, there will be Srikanta Singh. Then after Srikanta Singh, there will be Savana Rupa.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances on this auspicious day of your Vyasa Puja. I feel very honored for this opportunity to express my gratitude to you. Your Appearance Day is a very special festival for all of us. It is a festival of tears of gratitude. In just a few years, you managed what no one could before. You brought this Krishna consciousness movement, the movement of spiritualization of the entire human society to the Western countries, and you forever changed our lives. My dear Guru Maharaja described in his book, Miracle on Second Avenue, how he once asked you a question about what will happen to the movement when you die. Will you have a successor who will continue your work and look after our spiritual education? You closed your eyes, and a shallow stream of tears appeared below each of your eyes and flowed over your cheeks. My spiritual master, you said with a choking voice. He was no ordinary spiritual master. He saved me. These were not just words. It was your spiritual emotion towards your spiritual master. I have never physically met you, but I feel so connected to you. So many times in my life, I felt your direct support, shelter, and your guidance. I got to feel a glimpse of your spiritual power when someone like me with no qualification, devotional knowledge, could do things I could never imagine doing. Sometimes trying to follow my Guru Maharaja's instructions, I would encounter challenge, and I would come to you begging for your help, for intelligence and determination. I would ask forgiveness for my shortcomings. So I cannot claim any credit. Everything happens by your mercy and by the mercy of my spiritual master. In this way, you left us this huge heritage, this ISKCON movement. Even though so much work must be done to achieve its goals, and even Johnny Walker is still going strong. All is possible by your grace, and if we remain loyal to you, even though sometimes all we have is a little desire to please you. All is possible by your grace, and if we remain loyal. Once I asked my Guru Maharaja why today's ISKCON movement seems to be more mellow, not so intense or enthusiastic as it was in the early days. He told me that you had this amazing special energy, power, that devotees would be ready to do anything. However, we can appreciate your power even more once you physically left this world, because your movement is continuing to grow and flourish. You gave us everything to be successful, and you have never left us. Indeed, we are only limited by our conditioned consciousness. I cannot remember how many lifetimes I have been wandering through this material world, looking for happiness, harmony, and shelter, making countless mistakes and paying for them, making others suffer and suffering in return. Always in anxiety, like a homeless dog without a master. But now I finally found my master, and now I'm going to be okay, as long as I'm holding to your lotus feet.
Thank you, dear Srila Prabhupada. I beg to remain your servant.
Thank you so much, Sita. Sita is such a personal inspiration to me. Whenever I ask her to do something, she'll always do it. And work so hard. So she didn't understand again? She comes to say.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Putraya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Sumanitramane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Kucharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshatale Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Lantayate Karim Tapakam Guru Dina Taran. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to your lotus feet. I'm speaking on behalf of my wife Smita Amrita, who can't make it today. She's feeling quite unwell. My spiritual master, His Holiness Devamrita Swami, said that you performed two simultaneous, inconceivable tasks in your time here with us. One is that you spread Krishna's mercy across the world as predicted by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. And number two, you cultivated, nurtured, and provided so much support to the souls who found their way to your service, to your lotus feet. And if I may, with the thread that's being spoken today by all of us, humbly add that you also have performed a third inconceivable miracle, which is that you continue to do those two miracles to this day, and you will continue to do them long into the future. It's been a tough year for me and my wife. We've faced a lot of obstacles and a lot of external challenges in our Krishna consciousness and in our material life. And whilst it's quite easy to just be absorbed in them, your books, your words, and the words of your disciples and grand disciples have always kept us on the straight and narrow. You're always focused on the main mission that we have in life, which is to perform Krishna conscious, to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And while I'm currently experiencing deteriorating health, I remember and I meditate on the words you had for older sannyasi disciple of yours when you were going through your final lila. You looked at him and said, "Don't think that this will not happen to you." And I think about that now and consider my own mortality, and pray that my wife prays that we continue to stay in your service, to stay with all of the temples that you've built, the deities that you've mercifully shown to us, and all of your meditations that you allow us to experience through your books. So Srila Prabhupada, pray ever humbly to remain your hopeful servant. Please establish this fallen soul in your service, which will allow Sri Sri Radha, Krishna, and Sri Panchatattva to shine their grace upon me and my wife. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. If Savannah Rupa could come in, and then there'll be Sadhana Mataji, then there will be Revati there, like just going to be sitting there so we can move along very quickly now because we've only got 10 minutes. Sri Chaitanya, Padmalochan, please come into the temple room for your offering. We can save time once the devotees are right here. Okay, thank you, Savannah.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, I offer my deepest appreciation and gratitude for the impact your teachings have had on my life. Your wisdom has been the flame illuminating the path of discovering my true nature and the purpose of life. Through your guidance, I have come to understand that my real nature is not limited to the material realm, but is connected to a greater spiritual reality. Your teachings have revealed the profound truth that we are all eternal souls forever connected to Krishna. I've always longed to know the deepest truth, and through your teachings, I've come to realize that the true essence of knowledge lies in understanding our eternal relationship with God. You have shown me that while I now possess this knowledge, it is merely the beginning of a lifelong, practical journey towards spiritual realization and improvement. Your teachings have ignited a desire within me to practice Krishna consciousness diligently, striving to purify my heart and mind. In your profound teachings, I have found not only knowledge but also purpose and direction. I am eternally grateful for your guidance, which has set me on a path of spiritual growth and self-discovery, and because of you, I have a future to look forward to. Your servant, Suvana Rupa.
Not very many here. I just want to comment on this book. This is a community book that is put together by Kishori every year, and I'm really sorry to say there's not many people in this, and I really think everyone should write an offering. It's very important, and so next year I want to see this book at least 4 or 5 times thicker. So please, if Kishori doesn't know you, let her know that you're ready to make an offering. I'm sorry, I can't find mine. And I don't know where Kishori is to say where it is.
Maybe while you're looking for that, maybe Rochelle Chaitanya could do his offering. We've just only got 7 minutes left. So. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. I don't seem to be in there. So.
As soon as I finish. Hare Krishna. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. This year I had my first trip to the holy dhams, Sri Mayapur and Vrindavan Dham. I know it's only by your mercy to us white elephants that this was possible. Each time I visited your samadhis, the Rupa Goswami temple and various other pastime places, I could feel your presence there, and the same words erupted from me each and every time. Thank you for saving my life. Srila Prabhupada, I witness how you have transformed the world and how much love people who have never met you have for you. In a dark world which has many relentless snares to keep us from realizing our eternal position of servant of the servant of the servant, you boldly come to fulfill the wish of your spiritual master. Thank you for risking so much to give so much to those who didn't even know they needed saving. I recall the first time I put glasses on you in a Bhagavatam class. I was shocked, even intimidated and humbled immediately by the love I felt emanating from you. My spiritual master told me he would be most happy with me if I behaved as your disciple, knowing I'm only being guided by him. It's so special to be able to associate with your disciples, grand-disciples, and even great-grand-disciples. Srila Prabhupada, I didn't know I could feel so strongly about someone, and yet every day I'm reminded of how you saved my life, and it leaves me wanting to serve you better as days go by. How can I possibly repay such a gift? I pray I may always deepen my understanding of you and the teachings you so lovingly gave to us, so I can be of some use within your mission. Your aspiring servant, Srila Chaitanya Das.
Yes. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, you have kindly placed me at New Govardhana, your farming community in New South Wales, Australia. How most fortunate am I? Inconceivable I can reside here. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. You are truly amazing. I do my best to do whatever service is asked of me. I know I come short to the mark in many of my services. Still, you allow me. And I am also so grateful that I am extremely fortunate that I have personal service of Chota Shishi, Gornitai, Srila Prabhupada, and the privilege of cooking for their lordships, doing many other services around the temple. I am happy to be engaged in services to your mission. I pray that I am pleasing you, Srila Prabhupada, and praying for your mercy. How can I ever repay my debt to you for everything you have done for me? You have turned my life around for the better. I have no understanding of life and no culture, and you've made me into a human being. I am still far from perfect. Still, I practice and I pray to you, Srila Prabhupada, that you will guide and direct me so I can continue in my services and become perfect in serving your mission. I don't think I will ever be perfect. Will you accept me? Is there any chance I can be of any service at your lotus feet of the divine couple, Shri Shri Radha Govardhana Dari? Begging you, Srila Prabhupada, to help this most insignificant soul, making it back home, back to Godhead. I would also like to share this blessed Krishna consciousness with all I meet, to play a part in helping others to get to know their true loving father, grandfather, you, Srila Prabhupada. Your servant, Sadhana Dasi.
Thank you so much, Sadhana. Then Revati. And I'm still looking for Rupa Radhanath Vishvaku and Guru Dakshin. Those devotees are here if they can make their way to the temple room.
Hare Krishna, everybody. It's really nice to see everybody here. Today I'm just going to say a few things. I could say a lot about Srila Prabhupada, but I'll keep it short. Just some of my own personal stories about Srila Prabhupada's mercy and his love and how it continues to go even though he's not in his physical form anymore. So around 8 years ago, I quit my job and it'd been around a year. And since I was around 4 years old, I had been searching for answers, searching for truth. And I had this dream. And in that dream, someone was handing me the Bhagavad Gita. And the next day I woke up, I wrote it down, and I had all my family members looking for this book. We were unsuccessful. I knew exactly what it looked like. So I had this desire come up around 3 days later, and that desire was to go to Byron Bay. So I went to Byron Bay, and on the second day, I was going to get a juice for lunch. And as I walked around the corner, His Grace Charanavinda was standing right there, holding the Bhagavad Gita like this. It was such an amazing experience. And I was in Byron Bay for 2 weeks, and I read that book every day, and I just soaked it up. And all the questions that I had since I was around 4 years old, all the questions that no one could ever answer, Srila Prabhupada answered everything within that book. And once I finished, I went straight on YouTube, Googled Srila Prabhupada. Then I started to watch him, and he just lived the Bhagavad Gita. And from that moment, I said, I'm going to give this life to Srila Prabhupada. And it's been around 8 years now. And late last year, I was sitting there, and Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj used to do this exercise with his disciples. They would imagine the day when they left their body and they're at their own funeral, and someone's talking about them. What do they want to be remembered for? How do they want to live their life? And after days and days meditating on this and writing about this, I came to the conclusion that I want to give this life to Srila Prabhupada. And the one thing I want to be remembered for is how much I love Srila Prabhupada. My life will be successful. So I'm forever grateful to Srila Prabhupada. I've missed him. I felt like I've known him much longer than this. And I pray also every day that at the end of this life, I'm going to go straight to him and we're going to be together. And just to end, I just want to say thank you to all Srila Prabhupada's disciples. You've given me so much love and so much care over all these years. I'm forever indebted to you all. It's just a beautiful thing, this Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki! Jai.
Thank you so much for watching. Revati, would you like to come? And if someone could please go, Krishna Balaram out there, could you go to the kitchen and see if Radha's got a minute to pop out? Radha's cooking, but she'd like to make an offering if she can.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances, all glories to you.
Through selflessness you came to the Western countries with simply your knowledge of Krishna and love for him. Although you went through many difficulties on the way to fulfilling your mission, with determination you kept on pushing to give love of Krishna to everyone. Thanks to you, today we have a growing institution with people who are engaging in Krishna's service. You drew the map for us and led us the way so we can follow the path of Krishna Bhakti, which you have mercifully gifted to us. As I offer these words unto you, I also offer my heart and my life for your divine mission. I pray that I may continue down this path with your guidance and the guidance from your spiritual sons and daughters. Unfortunately, I did not have the good fortune of being in your presence. However, I feel as if you are still guiding me through my spiritual master. May your teachings spread and feed the minds and hearts of all souls. Your presence will forever remain in the hearts of those who you have inspired by your unwavering faith, dedication, and love for the Lord. So thank you again and again, Srila Prabhupada, for giving us the opportunity of loving and serving Krishna, so that we may go back home, back to Godhead. Your eternal servant, Ramani Radha Dasi.
Wonderful. Radha Cross managed to jump out of the kitchen for a couple of minutes, and she'll do a brief offering, and then there will be Guru Dakshini to finish off the homages.
Happy appearance day, Srila Prabhupada. All I can do is cry for you. Thank you so much. Sorry to all the emotional stress from cooking your feast. I always find myself on this day in particular, my best place is in the kitchen, because I can show you how much I love you through serving and preparing your favorite foods. I haven't prepared anything except recipes, and I've been thinking about this feast for the last year. And I dream of it, and how can I make it better for you? So that's what I'm offering you today. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm eternally grateful, life after life, that you gave me the shelter of your lotus feet from a very young age in this life. And you said some things to me, and I believe that that's why I'm still here in the association of these wonderful devotees in this wonderful community, serving you and being able to love Krishna and look after him. And there's so many things that I want to say all the time, but I do say them to you all the time. And so today I would just like to share with my wonderful community and family that I'm so grateful to be here with you, and I'm so grateful to you, Srila Prabhupada, that you've never let go of me. You blessed me as a child. For the longest time I thought it was instructions that you gave me, and then I realized that I wasn't actually able to follow your instructions properly, so you actually blessed me, and I think that's why, through all the hardships of the material world, I still managed to serve you and to be here, and I'm eternally grateful to you and to this magnificent family that you gave me in this life. So I'm gonna go finish cooking your feast. Sorry, it's amazing how they came in and said, you have to have everything ready, and I'm like, but it's not ready. And then suddenly it's like everything just like went into full action mode, and I actually came in this morning to see you and asked, please help me cook this feast for you. So thank you for helping, and I love you very much. All glories to you.
We've got a few minutes.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Name Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nivasesha Sunyavadi Paskita. So I'm Guru Dakshin. It's so good to be amongst you and alive today. That's all I can say. And I hope you're all alive and well in Krishna consciousness. Things have gone very, very well in the last 50 years. And this community is exceptionally expanding in the last 20 years. And I'm very, very impressed. And I think you all should be very impressed. And it's also due to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada's divine grace. I came into the organization of ISKCON to assist in the Bhaktivedanta archives. This one book here is one of the sessions. Some of you might have this. It was published in '89. And it almost got destroyed. We've had pretty heavy rains and difficulties up here. And I really appreciate the original comments and recordings of Prabhupada. So I'm going to share some of them on his behalf with you today to finish up what is a really wonderful expose of this community's Krishna consciousness. I've heard some astounding things said and I'm very impressed. Prabhupada, April 1st, 75. Now, our next point is that we say that God, the person, is identical with his name. Now, if by meeting God, by seeing God, you become purified, then by chanting his name also, you'll become purified. Because we say God and his name is identical. But if by meeting God you become immediately purified of material contamination, similarly, by chanting God's name you immediately become purified. So, what is that name of God that acts immediately? Exactly like God? Question. So far Krishna name is concerned, it is practically that so many thousands of men, they are chanting Krishna and they are becoming purified. So find out any other name which can act equally. See, Prabhupada is making a challenge there. This is volume 12, so it's between March 75 and May 75. Have we got time for one more? Okay. So this is in Mayapur also. We love Mayapur. Australia has given millions of dollars to Mayapur and built the Mayapur community up so strongly that none of those Bengal dacoits could ever bring it down. And it's Krishna consciousness is expanded like anything in India, and it's great to see. It's going to become the universal. Bharat Vas maybe even become the new name for India. Let's see what they do. Prabhupada, no! It is not enjoyment. It is worker. Just like this field is for working and the farmer is working. I bring this up here because of New Govardhana, the farm. That does not mean he's enjoying, he's working. This field is given for working. But this working does not mean that he's enjoying. And because of this working on the field is not enjoyment. Therefore, nobody is coming. They are going to the factory. This is the destruction of the villages in India. He's talking in Mayapur to Indians. They are going to the factory. Had it been enjoyment, then they would have come, but no, they go to the factory and they are prepared to purchase from the farmer at any cost to avoid this working. That is the difficulty at the present moment. And if you are asked that you work here, I don't think you'll agree. It's not enjoyment. Will you take a plough and do? Question mark. No. Why? Question mark. If it is enjoyment, why not? That's wonderful piece there. My Guru Maharaj asked me one day, he said, Guru Dakshin, do you work? What type of work do you do? And I said to him, Maharaj, I don't use that word, I play. Another 4-letter word. And he didn't have any problem with that. So may you all be in a playful mood in Krishna consciousness, which is Satchidananda Vigraha, so you're naturally happy. There's no misery in there. People are going to say, why am I so miserable? What did you do?
Thank you so much, Guru.
Thank you. So, wonderful.
We've just got one more offering, and we're just perfectly timed. Paramapuruta Prabhu will read out Rupa Raghunath's offering. Rupa Raghunath couldn't get back, so he's going to read out Rupa Raghunath's offering for us.
Thank you. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances in the dust of your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada built a house in which the whole world can live. Please be patient, everyone. Rupa's, Rupa. Look at this, all from different backgrounds, different countries, religions and aids. I love Rupa. He's having a crisis in health. You may or may not know, so let's, on this day, also think of Rupa and give him full of blessings that he can cope with that. Srila Prabhupada gave his whole life to save everyone in the world from a very hellish destination. He gave us the best books which give solutions to all problems, even death. His books give us the complete process of pure devotional service and are complete with descriptions of the name, form, qualities and pastimes of Krishna and so many of his incarnation and devotees that we can go back to Godhead to the topmost destination, Goloka Vrindavan. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, states, we don't give Rupa enough chance on the asana. He should actually do a month or 2 discourse, because otherwise this happens every time there's a festival. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, states, the Bhagavatam, which is as brilliant as the sun, has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna, accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc., and will give light to those who have lost their vision. Due to the dense darkness of Kali Yuga, he gave us the topmost association. So many great devotees, I think we can all attest to that the association is the most important thing. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu's dance, Sava Shastra, Kaya. Even a moment's association with pure devotees gives one all success. He gave us the topmost Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, Vaishnava songs and devotional music, as is stated, Goloka Primadana Harinam Sankirtan. This chanting of Hare Krishna is directly transported from Goloka Vrindavan. He gave us these temples which are replicas of the spiritual world and so many transcendental paintings which are windows to the spiritual world. He gave us the personal forms of the Lord in the deity, which so lovingly are dressed. Thank you to everyone who's made this festival so wonderful, in which we can render so many varieties of ecstatic service. He gave us prasadam. Srila Prabhupada was expert to trick people into Krishna consciousness. He said prasadam was his secret weapon. He asked all TPs and GBCs whether they were all tricked by prasadam, and they admitted that that was correct. He told the story of the coal miners and Christian preacher in Sheffield, England, when he told them if they didn't surrender to Jesus, they would go to hell, which is very dark and cold. They said, what's the difference from here? He then thought, how will I convince them? So he said, if you don't surrender to Jesus, you will go to hell where there is no newspapers. They said, how horrible. So they surrendered. Devotees asked devotees asked you what the spiritual world was like. You said there was no draft boards. So devotees afraid of being drafted to Vietnam said, then we will join Srila Prabhupada. And a little bit of a typo going on here, but something that Krishna consciousness is a shortcut process. Maharaj Rahugana states, Rahugana Taitat Tapasyana Hati, Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto. There are many processes for spiritual Yes, there are many processes for spiritual advancement, but unless one smears his body entirely with the dust from the lotus feet of great devotees, it's very difficult to make advancement. Srila Prabhupada, you've given all of us the constant opportunity to get immense attachment to Krishna by association of many great devotees and the chance to render service to them regularly. Srila Prabhupada ki. P.S. Can you add, Srila Prabhupada, your most important mission, the distribution of your transcendental books? It is still going on in the Shatra. I have personally been sidelined in assisting you in this service in the last few years due to lockdowns and my family responsibilities and difficulties. Please excuse me. We have some wonderful young devotees on New Govardhana who are very enthusiastic to distribute your books. Just yesterday, Sajani Mataji asked if a few of us could go out on books. I always think I'd cook some offerings and do some other service, but when she insisted, a few of us went out and some of us, we met really nice people in Willamba. We pray to you, Srila Prabhupada, to fervently bless us in our mission more and more. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Rupa Raghunath Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you. Always a hard job being in EC. You've got to be very bossy. I want to thank very much Sri Bhakti for their expert timekeeping. I want to thank everyone for their wonderful offerings, for their patience with me, trying to get this on time, and we are just 1 minute out of time. So now there's going to be Arti to Prabhupada. Pushpanjali prayers will be conducted by Mr. Vyasa Puja, and after that, wonderful kirtan. Then there will be the feast. Rav Shah Prabhu is going to do the offering of the Arti, the Srila Prabhupada. Pushpanjali first, sorry, then Arti.